Crafting a personal statement, okay? This is super important. People do not realize how important this personal statement is. I will tell you, as a person who sits on the admissions committee, it is the absolute first thing that everyone reads. In many applications I have read, I have not read the application, I have read their personal statement and I've been like, next. That's it, their whole application is out. And if I give them, if I score them like that, they are not going to come into our school, period. I'm a med student, we have the same exact weight as faculty on our at least at our admissions committee. If they give it to me or a faculty reviewer, it doesn't matter. If I say no, it's no. That's it. So that's the first thing we read. Personal statement. Okay? It's important. Alright, so crafting a personal statement. Do not underestimate this. So a lot of people say, oh, well, I wrote something. I've written plenty of papers. I mean, in college, it's true. You've written plenty of papers. This is not like those papers. This is like your career hinges on this paper. You better treat it like that. Okay? Treat it like that. Treat it like it's a senior thesis. Like it's your PhD dissertation. They treat it like that because it's important. We're going to talk about why. All right. There are a couple of different types of personal statements. Okay. People, a lot of times, will use the wrong type. So this is a personal statement. It answers one or two questions. Why you want to be a doctor? Yeah, it answers that. Or why you will make a good doctor? It answers that. But just answering a question or two in your personal statement, not going to cut it. You need to give a comprehensive narrative that describes who you are. Who is this person? And why do we want them here? Who is John? Why do we want John here? Why is he special? Why should he be here? Okay? Because every place, the one great thing about living in the United States is every medical school in this country is good. Every medical school in this country qualifies you to be a physician and practice one of the most special professions, in the world. Maybe second to teaching. One of the most special professions where people trust you with everything. Okay, they tell you the most intimate secrets. We want somebody who can relay that information, why they should be a physician, that we hold, something we hold sacred, being part of a brother and sisterhood, why they should be there. So we take it very personally. So what we like is a comprehensive narrative that tells us who you are. Personal statement. It makes it personal about you. If I don't know who you are for your personal statement, it's a problem. You're not coming to Harvard Medical School, at least. That's a problem. Okay? Personal statement. So, I'm going to teach you guys how to create a narrative. Forgive me if you've been in English class and you've learned this. You probably have. But I want to tell you how important it is here. So I call this the Wizard of Oz method. Who has seen the Wizard of Oz? Who has not seen the Wizard of Oz? 1, 2, 3. Let me tell you about the Wizard of Oz. So this lady, this girl right here, Dorothy, played by Judy Garland here. This is like the first color movie in America. I cannot believe you have not seen it. But, anyway, the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy, she's from Kansas, it's all black and white, and she gets whisked away by a tornado. This lady, first of all, is mean lady from down the street, trying to capture her dog, trying to take it. She's going through all this hardship. Then she lands in this foreign place from a tornado, and it's full of color. And she gets there, she meets the Lollipop Guild, meets the Nice Witch, whatever. Then she goes on this, she's has to follow the Yellow Brick Road to get back, because all she wants to do is go back home. Okay, to her mother, her uncle, and all her people she knows. So, and her dog. Her dog Toto is with her. So Dorothy's walking down the Yellow Brick Road, and this happens, and that happens, and blah, blah, blah. And she's being harassed by this lady who's really the lady trying to get her dog, but it's the Wicked Witch. Okay, so this is the Wicked Witch of the West. You don't see her here. But anyway, she has a green face, she's mean, blah, blah, blah. She harassed her, and then what happens? Dorothy does what to her? Pours water on her. Exactly. So pours water on her. Everything is happy, meet the wizard, blah, 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 blah. And then she goes back home and everything's great. All right. That's how you write a narrative. Believe it or not, that's how you write a narrative. So, the Wizard of Oz approach, as I call it. You start with exposition. You give a very brief kind of intro. This is where she's in Kansas. Okay? You start talking candid, everything's peaceful, quaint. So you tell us a little bit about who you are. You start with this like little, okay, you know, whatever starting point you choose in your life, this is where you are. Then you have rising action. So these are called plot points. So this is when the nasty lady's trying to take her dog. This is when, you know, the monkeys are chasing her. This is when, you know, the lion is, you know, so everything is when, you know, these are all points about when this person faced adversity. You are the protagonist here. You have faced some sort of tough times. Okay? Every one of you have faced a tough time. It's important to describe the things that you have gone through and how they have molded you into the person you are today. Because believe it or not, the things that you have gone through have shaped you. And the negative things shape you often more than the positive things. Okay? So, you know, being able to overcome makes you a stronger person. And I'm not just paying lip service to that. That's really true. And we think about that. Okay, so you need to demonstrate how you've gone through things. You know, some challenges. Then maybe there's a crisis, or maybe there's not. Maybe there's just some pinnacle moment, some aha moment that happens. Okay? So you describe that. Spend a little time describing that in your personal statement. And then this is often called the denouement, right here, French word. I had to learn how. So people at Harvard, like, these guys like know all these languages. I'm like walking in patients' rooms. They're like, oh, this person's like Haitian Creole, like blah 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, this person speaks Spanish. Oh, blah, blah, the same person. I'm like, how do you know all these languages? And then on top of that, they knew all of medical school because they already knew Latin and Greek before they came, and so they know all the funny words that are just Latin and Greek words for knee, like genu or whatever. So. You know, so it all makes sense and it's not memorization. So anyway, falling action, denouement. All right, so this thing is fast. This is basically from this climactic point to where you are today. Here's where you are today and how you got there, okay? You need to describe that. You notice that the majority of the length of this is talking about all the things you overcome. The majority of the length is there. That's roughly 2/3 or probably even a little more. I like 70 to 80% about this stuff. Okay? The last portion is about falling action and getting back to where you are. All right. So people write this, and we're going to go over my personal statement, which I think I just used an example because I didn't want to ask anybody else. But we're going to go over the types of review. So the way I did this, my personal statement, because I cannot take credit for my personal statement. First thing I did was I wrote this personal statement. I worked my ass off. Oh yeah, I'm doing great. Blah, blah, blah. This is beautiful. I read it. I was like, oh my God, this is good. I don't have to fix anything about it. And I went to Terry Matthews. Who knows Terry Matthews? All right. So I walked into Terry Matthews' office, and I gave it to her. She read it. Interesting. And then she said, Devon, this is all wrong. You need to start over. And she was absolutely right. And that was the best piece of advice I got. Period. For any part of my personal statement, she gave me the advice that this is all wrong. You need to start over. And so start over I did. And I got some guidance, because I just went in there without any of this. I got some guidance from people who know literature. I got some guidance on how to write a personal narrative. And I went to work. All right. Then once I went to work, I went to some of my physician friends that I had shadowed and things. I said, oh, my medical student friends, can you review this for content? Now, nobody that's a busy professional has time to review your entire personal statement from soup to nuts and make every little correction. From content to structure to flow to word choice to diction to grammar and punctuation, they whittle it down to the right number of 5,300 to the 100 characters, and then final polishing. Nobody has, I mean, that would take, you pay an editor to do that. I mean, if you have, you know, $1,200, give somebody $1,200 and they'll take a week and they'll give it back to you beautiful. But if you don't, this is what you do. You go to people who know content. They're your mentors, your advisors. Go to those people who know content, what medical schools want. Ask them just to review for content. And explicitly tell them, I don't want you to talk about structure or flow, word choice, any of that. I just want you to say, is this meeting the mark about the kind of trajectory of, you know, is this basically the kinds of things I need to say? Then you do the same thing, structure. You go to somebody who's good with structure, like a linguist, or like somebody who's an English professor, somebody who taught you English composition. If there's anybody who knows composition, it's the person who taught you English composition, right? So, structure. Okay, then flow, then word choice. You do the same thing. You find the people that are best for this. And then final polishing, I would say go to a person who is like a linguist and a person who is a physician or a med student or something to make sure you haven't strayed too far off track from when they first saw this. Okay, so for me, I had many eyes, probably 80 eyes, which is only 40 people. Okay, 40 people. On my thing. Okay? Alright, so personal statement, do's and don'ts, and then we're going to go into my personal statement, and then we'll take a break after we go to my personal statement. Okay? Do tell your story. Why you want to become a physician. Tell your story. You have a story. Be Dorothy. Tell the story that makes you who you are, how you came to be the person you are today. We care. Everyone cares. Tell that story. Find your passion. Write about it. What's passion? We want to feel passion in the personal statement. We want to feel what you feel. Okay? Don't write about something just that sounds impressive. And especially don't write, you just use big words because you think it'll sound impressive because it will not. It'll sound like, what is this person trying to do? Are they trying to compensate for something that they don't have, for something that they lack? If you have a B in English composition and you're using crazy words like Pecksniffian, then we know there's something going on here, and you just use a thesaurus, right? So, I don't even remember what Pecksniffian means, I just remember it being a word of the day. So, anyway, don't do that. Do address your red flags. If you have things, don't think that the reviewer looking at your application is not going to see it. Come on now. We go through that with a fine-tooth comb. So, if you have something glaring, here is your opportunity to say something. Here is the thing that I didn't do well, and here's why, and blah, blah, blah. You need to acknowledge that and acknowledge it in a way that shows you learned something. Okay? Always do that. Don't miss that. If you don't say it, as soon as we see it, we go right back to your personal statement. And we say, why didn't this person explain this? Gone. I mean, really, that's how it works. Don't write a 5,300 character curriculum vitae, which is a resume. Don't rehash your resume. We see your resume. Your resume is part of your application. We've seen that. Don't just write a resume. That does nothing. That will just, again, gone. I mean, these are things just like, okay, this goes in the not admit pile. These are the big glaring things. Then we'll talk about the specifics. All right. Do utilize many other people to help you. Don't pick the friend that's going to be like, oh, that's great. Like, if they say, oh, that's great, just boom. And they have like 1 or 2 edits on there, they're gone. I mean, you just don't even worry about them. They're not going to be helpful to you. Not they're bad people, they just are good with giving feedback. That's a problem. Or they're not critical enough. Okay, so you want people to be brutal. You want the person that says, you know what, that is all wrong, Devon. Like Terry Matthews told me. That's a terrible personal statement. Start over. Seriously, that's the best. I really believe that was the best advice I got. So you want those people. Do not hear this all the time. My sick grandmother, she went through blah, 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 and all this stuff. And that's great. I mean, if you focus on the way that made you feel, that's one thing. If you just go into, one second, I'll get to you. If you make that statement about other people, that is one of the most common mistakes. I call that person did not make their personal statement personal. They made their personal statement about someone else who went through something. Not gonna cut it. All right? One line, grandma got sick and she was dying and I took care of her. Everything else, I blah, 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 I blah, 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 I blah, 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 I felt this, I did that, I blah, blah, blah. Not, oh, and then she had to go to the doctor, and then she had to get surgery, and then she had to, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. People do that. They waste. There's 5,300 characters, which is like a page and a quarter. You cannot waste that on talking about what this person went through. Because we don't, not to be mean, but we don't care. That is not what's getting you in, that your grandmother went through adversity. It's that you went through something that we care about. Biggest mistake, I think, really, I want to hammer that home. Biggest mistake that I see is that, again, don't erroneously utilize words, not in the common vernacular, okay? They need to be common words, all right? Just talk the way you talk, and that'll work. So, I'm going to pull up my personal statement. Can you pull it up? You know where it is. I'm going to pull up my personal statement. I'm going to read it. I didn't ask anybody to submit theirs. I think the reason I pull up mine is because I got a lot of comments and compliments on my personal statement. And so I know it's good. And I'm saying that it's good because 40 people made it good. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people have a lot of shame around asking somebody to do something. You know, these famous writers who have won, Pulitzer Prize winning authors, and, the woman who wrote, Harry Potter books who made billions of dollars, she has editors. People who are better at certain aspects of writing than she is. There is no shame in her game. She's making billions, coming up with the ideas. Do you know what I mean? And she's putting it on paper, and these people are polishing it into a well-polished, piece of work. And and no one's gonna say that this person that this person is not I can't think of her name. It's just not coming to mind. What's the lady with the Harry Potter book?
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling. She no one's saying she's not a good writer. So I'm gonna read this, okay? And I'll point out some subtleties here. Or the things that I remember being corrected. I don't even know if this is the most recent version. I had the hardest time today in my computer. So I thought to myself as the bullets whizzed by my head, I'm going to die and I'm only 12 years old. So first step, I said it differently the first time. I don't remember how I said it, but I said it. This sounds more like a 12-year-old's voice. I'm going to die, I'm only 12. And at the time, I wrote it differently. And I remember somebody who was word choice. I had a word choice expert. And said, the way you're writing this, it sounds like you're an adult. You're not right. It doesn't sound, that quotation doesn't sound like it came from a 12-year-old. This is why these kinds of things are important. So I thought to myself as the bullets whizzed by my head, I'm going to die, I'm only 12 years old. Death by stray bullet was not atypical in the slums of Flint, Michigan. It was not the first or even 100th time I heard gunshots in my neighborhood. However, it was the first time I felt my life was in danger. That incident opened my eyes to the reality of my living situation. In the era in which I was raised, there was not much hope. I was certainly no exception to this rule. This was about the age that my childhood aspiration of becoming a doctor began to feel like a mere pipe dream. I chose doctor there because I was 12. I didn't say physician because I was 12. And someone showed me that. Someone showed me that. In my world, I didn't know the word physician at the time. I mean, these are things that make it flow. All right. So, why would I put forth any effort in school if my mother could never afford to send me to college, much less medical school? This was a sentiment my mother and I shared. Joining the military presented a very clear opportunity for me to get out of an impoverished environment, pay for college, and serve the citizens of the country I love. So I show in one very terse and cogent sentence that I was desperate, I needed to leave, because I was in an impoverished environment. I had aspirations for college, so I've explained why I didn't go to college or go to high school, right? I had aspirations, but I was concerned about payment. So I've explained the red flag, right? Red flag, why didn't you go to college? Then, and serve the citizens I love. So I say something, citizens of the country I love, so I say something that speaks to a passion I have, right? Serving people. Not necessarily, being in the military, but serving people is something that, I was able to do. So, then I need to say I'm smart. I performed extremely well in the ASVAB, which is the test you take to get in the Navy. I was offered a position in Navy elite, and I used the quote. I didn't at first have the elite in the quotation marks, but I did that to show humility, right? So, well, it sounds like you think it's like so elite, but that's the way people describe it. So I put it in quotation marks. Somebody's recommendation: the elite nuclear power program. I took it. I became a well-respected. I took the position basically. I became a well-respected leader who developed and implemented continuous training curricula. So I talked about education. So I did something in education, which people in medical school love because they're educators. I led a response team, so I showed leadership, to combat major power plant malfunctions, responsibility, in one sentence. And I was routinely called upon. I was reliable to solve complex problems. I'm smart. So I showed that in one sentence that you have 5,300 characters to convince these people of all these things. So I'm going to read that sentence again. I was proud of that one. I became a well-respected leader who, no, seriously, I want you to see what I'm talking about. I became a well-respected leader who developed and implemented continuous training curricula, led a response team to combat major power plant malfunctions, and was routinely called upon to solve complex problems. I put my whole Navy career in one sentence. One sentence. You don't have much space. And people help me do this. There is no way in hell I could have done this by myself. You guys see that? All right. So, this reconstituted a sense of self-confidence I had not had since my pre-adolescent years and ultimately reconnected me with my childhood dream of becoming a physician. So I have hopelessness here. Hope is the theme. I reconstituted a sense of hope. You see that? Of self-confidence, which is basically, hope and resolve. So I used a common thread. When my military commitment was nearing its end, I decided to pursue a career as a medical doctor. I didn't tell them I thought about other things like dentistry and pharmacy, because that's superfluous, right? They don't care about that. You have to, like I said, you make it sound as good as it possibly can sound without lying, okay? So you don't say any of that other stuff. All right, upon being honorably discharged, so then, people like to hear that, I immediately enrolled at Old Dominion University to pursue a degree in public health. What better way for me to learn about existing community health issues, health disparities, and current healthcare resources than in a public health curriculum? So I care about health disparities, health issue, healthcare resources. Why? Remember what I told you guys yesterday? Things that are trendy in medicine. Things that are trendy in medicine. They expect you to know. So I had a mentor who showed me that these kinds of things in public health, they said they would like your public health background because all of these things are really relevant today. All the journals are talking about it. These are the topics. Here are some links. So I looked them up. And so I said, oh, people care about this stuff. So why not write it in my personal statement? And so I did that. They didn't know that's what I was doing. It's not inherently obvious that that's what I was doing, right? But you write it. Although I had firsthand knowledge, of the socioeconomic impacts on health and how public health initiatives have helped mitigate these negative effects. Okay, personal knowledge. That makes it personal, right? What did I say about the first step in the statement? Make it personal, right? Yeah. I have firsthand knowledge, which means these are people I've seen. My people. All right. And so in how public health initiatives have helped mitigate these negative effects, I desired more depth of understanding. So I have intellectual curiosity. And this is my passion. That's how you read that. In my studies, I have further realized the specific health disparities that exist between cultures, countries, races, socioeconomic classes, and I believe experience in medicine will equip me to effectively address some of those issues. This is passionate to me because these are my people. These are the things I see. I've been educated, and my eyes even further open to lots of things, so I've learned a hell of a lot at Old Dominion about problems in health. And I'm going to address those issues. I endeavor to address these issues as a physician. People want to see that. All right. And passionate about the effects of poverty on the overall health of my community, again, personal, I feel a sense of responsibility and am further compelled to impact the health of the communities like the one from which I came. While physicians have always been leaders in their communities, I aspire to take that leadership to the next level. As a physician with my specific background, so I'm diverse now, right? I'll be able to apply a unique perspective to help facilitate the development of solutions to major issues regarding health in America. All right. So I've shown, I not only studied public health, but I showed that this is deeper than just something I chose as a major. This is something that's me. These are my people. This is passion. All right. I endeavor to accomplish this through multiple avenues. To develop a community health outreach organization. So I want to be a leader. I want to create new organizations. And I've shown that I've done that in my application. But I want to do this on a bigger scale as a physician. Participate in collaborative research. So I'm showing that I'm intellectually good. I like to answer research questions. Everyone loves that at medical schools, right? They really do. So you put that in there. And active participation in the development of healthcare legislation. So I'm like, okay, now I'm going to go out and lobby these people. I understand that there is legislation that needs to happen. I'm going to take social action. I'm going to be involved in my community in a big way, make a name for myself. So when I leave that school, because what people don't realize is that medical schools want to be proud. They want to beat their chest that that person who did that thing came from our school. They want that. They're investing in you in the same way that you're investing in them, the way that you're paying them. They want to be able to get something on the back end like, yeah, I trained Devon Taylor. We trained him at this school. And he did all these things. So they want to see these things. So you have to show them that what you're going to do. So, and active participation in healthcare legislation to more adequately serve the needs of underserved populations. Again, my people, right? My various clinical experiences have also played an essential role in reinforcing my passion for medicine. Observing the entire process of diagnosis, intervention, and follow-up have given me a better understanding of what doctors do as practitioners. So I take and I realize, with that sentence, I showed them there, realize that I know doctors do more than just practice medicine. I say as practitioners. So knowing that that's only one segment of their actual career, one segment of their life, one segment of their impact, I really show that like I embrace that idea and that I want to be more. I want to do more. Implicitly, I say, I want to do better than just practice medicine. People want to have me, right? That's what they read. All right. In short, they do more than, I have a better understanding what they do as practitioners. In short, they fully invest themselves in an effort to help people achieve and maintain health. So I learned this through reading. Achieve and maintain health. All right, because I learned the WHO's definition of health. So it's defined basically as a state of well-being, okay? Emotional, physiological, and socioeconomic, okay? That's health. In my experience as a shadowing a neurosurgeon and an interventional pain management physiatrist and many hospitalists, so I showed the diversity. I was like, I'm interested in neurosurgery. I shadowed a physiatrist, a PM&R doc, which most people don't even know is a kind of doctor of pain, physical medicine, and rehabilitation. And many hospitalists. I have witnessed the sense of relief and restored optimism that patients display, knowing they are in the caring and capable hands of an expertly trained physician. So I witnessed what the doctors do. What moved me is how the patients responded to that. And that is, to them, they're saying, oh, well, he is responding more to what the patient, it's very patient-centric. And if you read any journal today, they're talking about patient-centered, right? So you show that you're patient-centered. It's not lying. That's the way I am. I really am that way. But you put it on paper that you're patient-centered without saying, I'm patient-centered. You say it in a way that's kind of implicit. These people help me do this. So, 2 more paragraphs. However, no experience has solidified my understanding of patient-physician relationships like the experience I gained in the events of this past summer. While conducting summer genetics research, I just dropped that. Boom. I conducted research, right? I'm not re-articulating my CV. I just dropped that. I received a call that my 4-year-old son had suffered a head injury, resulting in an acute subdural hematoma, which is a brain bleed. He's doing well. Okay. During my 7-hour transit to the hospital, I couldn't help but recall my experiences with the neurosurgeon that I shadowed. I became very familiar with the feelings of helplessness that I had previously witnessed in patients. So read hopelessness. All this is hope. I'm talking about hopelessness, right? Over the next few days, while my son was in an induced coma, I had many interactions with the neurosurgeon, his staff, the pediatrician, nurses, therapists, and others. So I'm showing there that I appreciate the team, the nature that is of medicine, that is a team sport. Medicine is a team sport. And I say that implicitly by saying I'm not accrediting just the neurosurgeon and the pediatrician. I'm saying all these people had a role. And I'm explicitly saying that without explicitly saying it. So you're fulfilling the things that they want to hear. All right, that team of people led by physicians inspired a sense of confidence in me that allowed me to be a source of strength to my son and family. I had never felt so confident that I was pursuing the correct career as I did in the wake of my son's injury. Believe me, he's doing great now. All right, so I've learned that when treating patients, physicians are not merely body diagnosticians or body mechanics. So they're not just diagnosing and fixing. They are sources of hope and resolve. The patient-physician relationship is one that is special, in that patients typically entrust complete strangers with their health and often their lives. So I'm showing that I understand something about physician-patient relationships through my experiences. This is the denouement, right? I'm getting to the point where I'm understanding what all this is about. That interaction, more than anything, ensures that I will not only love my career, but that my performance will be fueled by a passion that is integral to my being. I intend to join the ranks of physicians as a messenger of hope. Hope was all the way through, both to my patients and to the population at large. Seeing more than my role just to the individuals I'm treating, but to the population, my role as a physician, as a community leader, and all of that. So I wrote this personal statement with the help of many, many, many people. But it shows you that how you strategically choose words, I think, and put lines in your personal statement that don't ramble on for a paragraph about everything you did doing X or everything you did doing Y. You can put it in one kind of very cogent statement. You can just put it in one little cogent statement and you have time to kind of exhibit a lot of other things. Because this is like 5,299 characters. And that's all you get. And so, anyway, that's the point. That's an example. And I think that should help you understand what I'm saying when you need this. This is an example, and I can send it, and I can send it to the pre-health advisors, and send a couple. I can send these PowerPoints too if you guys want access to any of these things. I'm sure they'll make it available to you. I think this will help you see, kind of what we look for. Okay, is that helpful? Okay. All right, so any questions about that before we take a break? Yeah.
Megan, so you said you find your passions and write about that. So I'm truly passionate about being more honest.
Yeah.
But I was told that dental school, they want a dentist.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go on and apply for
And you were told that by a dental person?
Yeah.
So they know.
So when I'm writing, am I not gonna write about my passion for being an orthodontist? I'm gonna make it.
You're gonna find a way to say that subtly while appreciating the field of dentistry as a whole. And those people that you're gonna use content are gonna help you get to there. It's as simple as that. It's all right to say that this is what I said I shadowed a neurosurgeon. I was interested in neurosurgery. When they talked to me, I was interested in neurosurgery. But ultimately, I can't say that I'm going to be a neurosurgeon because that looks too like tunnel vision, and it's not. It's off-putting.
So I just think that I didn't want to be.
Yeah, look, this is a game. If you're not playing the game, you can't win.
Oh, I'm gonna win.
Exactly. So you have to play the game. Go ahead. What's your name? I don't think you asked a question. Omar. Oh, you did ask a question. You just dressed up.
As far as, I understand what you're saying is don't use other people in your personal statement, but how acceptable is it to use, 2 or 3 people that have, what you were saying, have shaped and molded you to go with the package?
Yeah. So I did, right? So I did that with my son. I said, this happened to my son, boom. And then I talked everything about me, how I felt about the situation. You say I had a great professor who I look up to. I learned blah, 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 blah. Now, he taught me. There's a big difference between he taught you and I learned. These are implicit things, but they are true. When people are reading that, it sounds like it's about that person being special and not about how that person impacted you.
So it's I learned instead of he taught?
Exactly. You have to learn how to frame these things. Like I say, my example is the catcher in baseball. When they catch a ball that's a little outside the strike zone, they bring it in, right? You have to frame it. I mean, it's never going to work if it's way out here. They bring it in, they ball. But if they're here, Sure, right? 2 or whatever. You know, that's how umpires talk. Okay. So anyway, it needs to be close, but you have to frame it in a way that is palatable for these admissions committees. All right. All right. Let's take 10. We'll come back. We'll talk.